Hello, friends. If you receive supplemental security income, help someone who does, or recently applied for SSI, I need you to pay close attention to what the Social Security Administration announced on July 24, 2026. SSA says it has significantly changed the way it checks wages, bank accounts, and continuing eligibility in the SSI program. Some of these changes may make reporting easier, others make it much more likely that a mistake, an unreported account, or an unanswered review letter will be discovered sooner. And that matters because SSI is not the same as ordinary Social Security retirement. SSI is a needs-based program. Your payment depends not only on age or disability, but also on income, resources, marital status, and living arrangements. A change that looks small to you can change the amount SSA says you should receive. If the agency learns about that change months later, the result may be an overpayment you are asked to repay. But do not panic, and do not believe anyone who tells you that every SSI recipient is suddenly losing benefits. That is not what SSA announced. There is no new nationwide rule automatically stopping every SSI check. The real story is more specific, and understanding the details can help you protect your payment and avoid a serious surprise. Today, I will explain the 3 changes that matter most: the payroll information exchange, expanded financial account verification, and stronger non-medical redeterminations. I will also tell you what you still have to report, what notices you must not ignore, and exactly what to do if SSA's information is wrong. Before we begin, subscribe and turn on notifications. SSI rules are complicated, and government announcements are often written for employees and policy specialists instead of the people whose rent and groceries depend on the payment. On this channel, we translate those rules into plain English and separate the real changes from the frightening rumors. First, let us establish who this announcement affects. SSI provides monthly payments to people who are age 65 or older, blind or disabled, and who have limited income and resources. In 2026, the maximum federal SSI payment is $994 a month for one eligible person and $1,491 for an eligible couple. Your actual payment can be lower because of wages, pensions, other income, a spouse's income, a parent's income in a child's case, or your living arrangement. Some states add a separate supplement. The basic resource limits remain extremely low, $2,000 for an individual and $3,000 for a couple. Those numbers are countable resource limits, not the value of everything you own. The home you live in generally does not count. One vehicle used by you or someone in your household for transportation generally does not count. Household goods and personal effects generally do not count. Certain burial funds, property essential to self-support, money in an approved plan to achieve self-support, and up to $100,000 in an eligible ABLE account may also be excluded. That distinction is critical. A person can own a modest home and still qualify for SSI. But cash, checking and savings accounts, stocks, bonds, certificates of deposit, and some other property can count, because the limit is only $2,000 for one person. Even a temporary increase in a bank balance can create questions. Now let us look at the first major change: wage reporting through the Payroll Information Exchange, usually called PI. PI is an automated system that allows SSA to receive monthly wage and employment information from a payroll data provider. SSA currently identifies that provider as Equifax. The system is not simply switched on for every worker without conditions. You must provide authorization, and your employer must participate in the payroll provider's services. When those conditions are met, SSA may receive wage information directly for the participating employer. This can be helpful because wages are one of the most common reasons SSI payments are calculated incorrectly. If SSA receives accurate wage information sooner, it can adjust the benefit sooner and reduce the chance that a large overpayment builds for months. But here is the mistake people must avoid. Do not stop reporting wages merely because you heard that SSA has an automatic system. You continue reporting your monthly wages unless SSA sends you a notice specifically telling you that it is receiving wage reports through PIE and identifying the employer involved. If you have two employers and only one is covered by PI, you still report wages from the other employer. If you change jobs, start a second job, stop working, or begin working for a new employer, you must report that change. If SSA later sends a notice that it has stopped receiving payroll information, your normal reporting duty resumes. Even when PI covers all your employers, it does not take over every SSI reporting responsibility. You must still report other income. You must still report changes in resources. You must still report changes in your address, household, marital status, and living arrangements. A person with a disability must still report medical improvement and relevant changes in work activity. PI is a wage tool, not a complete replacement for communication with Social Security. SSA says authorization for PI is voluntary. You can provide it on Form SSA 8240, and you can revoke it. Refusing authorization by itself does not make you ineligible for SSI or SSDI. But if you refuse or revoke permission, you remain responsible for reporting wages through the regular methods, and the special protection tied to wage information received through PIE no longer applies. If the wage information SSA receives is wrong, act immediately. A payroll database can contain an incorrect amount, a duplicate entry, wages assigned to the wrong month, or information from an employer you no longer work for. SSA says it will send a notice if PIE information changes your SSI payment. Read the employer name, wage amount, and month carefully. Contact SSA, your employer, or the payroll data provider using the contact information in the notice. Keep pay stubs, screenshots of electronic wage reports, and any confirmation number or receipt. Under the regular SSI reporting rule, changes that may affect SSI should be reported as soon as possible and no later than 10 days after the end of the month in which the change occurred. Late or inaccurate reporting can lead to an underpayment, an overpayment, or a penalty. SSA's 2026 guidance says a failure to report penalty may reduce SSI by $25 to $100 for each occurrence. Knowingly making a false or misleading statement, or knowingly hiding an important change can lead to much more serious sanctions. The second change is expanded bank and financial account verification. SSA calls its system Access to Financial Institutions, or AFI. It is an automated process used to verify financial account information. The agency's July announcement says it has expanded AFI to find resource problems earlier and prevent large overpayments. A separate 2026 policy instruction shows how broad that expansion is for new claims. Effective May 4, 2026, SSA required financial institution verification for all SSI claim allowances, including aged, disability, and blindness claims, certain reopened initial claims, and appeal reversals that establish initial eligibility. Before that expansion, the newer mandatory requirement had focused on aged SSI claim allowances. In plain English, if a new SSI claim is going to be approved, bank account verification is now expected regardless of whether the applicant says they have very little in liquid resources. SSA employees are instructed to obtain the claimant's financial permission before requesting the information. This does not mean every deposit is automatically countable, and it does not mean every account with your name on it belongs entirely to you. Account ownership can be complicated. A joint account may contain someone else's money. A Social Security or SSI payment deposited early because the first day of a month falls on a weekend or holiday may need special treatment. Money from the sale of an excluded resource, disaster assistance, retroactive benefit payments, tax refunds, certain loans, or funds set aside under a protected program may be excluded for a period of time depending on the rule. The lesson is not to hide accounts. The lesson is to keep documentation that explains the account and the source of the money. Suppose your adult child adds your name to an account only so you can help pay bills in an emergency. SSA may initially see a joint account and ask whether the money is available to you. You need records showing who deposited the money, who uses it, and why your name is on the account. Suppose you receive a large retroactive payment. Keep the award notice and bank statements so you can show the deposit source and any applicable exclusion period. Suppose you sell a car or another asset. Keep the bill of sale and proof of what happened to the proceeds. Do not move money around or give it away simply to get under the SSI limit without first understanding the rules. Transferring a resource or selling it for less than fair value can cause SSI ineligibility for as long as 36 months in some situations. A rushed attempt to fix an account can create a larger problem. The third major change is stronger use of non-medical redeterminations. A redetermination is not the same as a medical disability review. In a non-medical redetermination, SSA reviews income, resources, and living arrangements to decide whether you remain eligible and whether your payment amount is correct. If you are married, SSA may review your spouse's income and resources. If the recipient is a child under 18, SSA may review the parent's information. SSA generally redetermines most recipients once every 1 to 6 years, although a reported change can trigger a review of other eligibility factors. The July 24 announcement specifically identifies the non-medical redetermination process as part of a stronger control environment. These reviews may happen by telephone, in person, or by mail. SSA sends an appointment letter or a form. According to its 2026 guidance, you have 30 days to respond to the appointment letter, return the form, or explain that you cannot keep the appointment or need help. Do not ignore that letter because it looks routine. If you do not respond, SSA says your payments may be stopped and you may be overpaid or underpaid. If SSI eligibility ends, Medicaid eligibility connected to SSI may also be affected in many cases. Before a redetermination, gather recent bank statements, pay stubs, pension or benefit letters, lease or mortgage information, records showing who pays household expenses, life insurance information, vehicle information, and documents explaining any unusual deposits. If someone helps you with rent, utilities, or shelter, be ready to explain exactly what they pay and whether it is a gift or a loan. Do not guess. Ask the interviewer what documentation is needed and write down the employee's name, the date, and what you submitted. Now let us talk about what these changes mean together. SSA is trying to move from waiting for recipients to report every fact manually toward checking more information through payroll and financial systems. That may reduce paperwork for some people and catch mistakes faster. But it also means that the information in your employer's payroll system, your bank records, and your SSI file needs to match reality. The biggest risk is not honest work or having an excluded asset. The biggest risk is assuming the agency already knows everything and therefore saying nothing. Here is a 5-step protection plan. First, open every SSA letter immediately. Check the date because appeal and response periods are measured from notices. Keep the envelope when the mailing date may matter. Second, confirm whether PIE actually covers your wages. Do not rely on a television report, social media post, or friend. Look for an SSA notice naming the participating employer. Until that notice changes your responsibility, continue reporting wages. Third, review bank accounts with your name attached. Make a list of checking, savings, prepaid cards, certificates of deposit, and joint accounts. Identify which funds are yours and gather proof for funds that belong to someone else or qualify for an exclusion. Fourth, report changes promptly and keep evidence. The safest record is not a memory of a phone call. It is a receipt, confirmation page, fax confirmation, uploaded document record, certified mail receipt, or written note showing when, how, and to whom you reported. Fifth, Challenge incorrect information. If SSA says your wages, resources, or living arrangement are different from what they really are, contact the agency immediately and provide documents. If you receive an overpayment notice and disagree with the fact or amount, you can request reconsideration. If the overpayment was not your fault and repayment would create hardship or be unfair, you can request a waiver. Do not assume an official-looking number cannot be corrected. There is also good news in this announcement. Timely payroll data can prevent a person from receiving too much money and facing a frightening debt later. Earlier bank verification can resolve an account question before a claim is paid. Clearer interview instructions and digital document uploads may reduce repeated trips to an office. But automation does not eliminate your role. It changes your role from being the only source of information to being the person who checks whether several sources agree. So remember the 3 key points. PIE may reduce monthly wage reporting only after SSA tells you it is receiving information for a particular employer. Expanded financial verification means new SSI approvals face broader bank account checks, but SSA must apply the actual resource rules and exclusions. And strengthened redeterminations mean you must answer review letters, attend interviews, and document income, resources, and living arrangements. This is not a reason to be afraid of SSI. It is a reason to organize your records and stay involved in your own case. If you know an older adult, a person with a disability, a parent of a child on SSI, or a representative payee, share this video with them. One ignored letter or one incorrect payroll entry can affect months of payments. One careful review can prevent that problem before it grows. Subscribe for clear updates based on official Social Security information, and I will see you in the next video.